And welcome to the channel. This is CBSE Class 11 English Core Lesson 1, The Portrait of a Lady. The story is about the narrator's relationship with his grandmother, who was a kind, religious and traditional woman. When the narrator was young, they lived together in a village. The grandmother took care of him, prepared him for school, and went with him to the temple school, where she read scriptures while he studied. They were very close, and she fed village dogs on their way home. When the narrator's family moved to the city, their bond weakened. The grandmother stopped going to school with him, as he now attended an English school, and she disapproved of its teachings, especially music, which she associated with immorality. She spent her time praying, spinning, and feeding sparrows. When the narrator went to university, their connection weakened further, and the grandmother became more isolated, focusing on her prayers and feeding sparrows. When he went abroad for 5 years, she showed no sadness, only praying silently. Upon his return, she was unchanged, still devoted to her sparrows. One evening, she celebrated his return by singing and playing an old drum, which was unusual, as she skipped her prayers. Soon after, she fell ill, believed her end was near, and refused to talk, focusing only on praying. She died peacefully, and thousands of sparrows gathered silently around her body, refusing to eat the bread offered to them. They flew away quietly after her body was taken to cremation. The Portrait of a Lady is a touching story about the narrator's relationship with his grandmother, a kind, religious, and traditional woman who played a significant role in his life. The narrator describes his grandmother as an old, wrinkled woman who had been the same for the 20 years he had known her. He finds it hard to believe that she was ever young or pretty, as people claimed, because she always appeared old and slightly bent and deeply spiritual. Her appearance, with white hair and a serene face, reminded him of a peaceful winter landscape in the mountains. She wore spotless white clothes, moved slowly with a stoop, and constantly prayed, counting the beads of her rosary. Despite not being conventionally pretty, the narrator found her beautiful because of her calm and loving nature. When the narrator was a young boy, he and his grandmother lived together in a village while his parents were in the city. They were very close, like good friends. Every morning, she woke him up, bathed him, and dressed him while singing her prayers in a monotonous tone, hoping he would learn them. Though he loved her voice, he never memorized the prayers. She prepared his school supplies, a wooden slate, ink pot, and pen, and gave him a simple breakfast of stale chapati with butter and sugar. They went to the temple school together, where the priest taught the children the alphabet and prayers, while grandmother sat inside reading holy scriptures. On their way back home, she fed stale chapatis to the village dogs, who eagerly followed them. A significant change or turning point came when the narrator's parents called them to live in the city. This marked the beginning of a growing distance in their relationship. In the city, the narrator attended an English school by bus, and the grandmother could no longer go with them. There were no village dogs to feed, so she began feeding sparrows in the courtyard of their city house. She continued to wake him up and prepare him for school, but she felt disconnected from his new education. When he told her about English lessons, science concepts like gravity, or that the world was round, she was unhappy because the school didn't teach about God or scriptures. She was particularly upset when he mentioned music lessons, as she associated music with immortality and believed it was not for respectable people. Her disapproval was silent but clear, and she spoke to him less after this. As time passed, their bond weakened further. When the narrator went to university, he got his own room, and their shared connection was broken. The grandmother accepted her loneliness quietly, spending most of her time spinning thread on her spinning wheel and praying. Her only joy came in the afternoons when she fed sparrows in the veranda. Hundreds of birds gathered around her, chirping loudly, some even sitting on her shoulders or head. She smiled and enjoyed this time, never shooing them away. This became the happiest part of her day. When the narrator decided to study abroad for 5 years, he thought his grandmother, being old, would be upset as he might not live to see him return. However, she showed no sadness. At the railway station, she prayed silently, kissed his forehead, and let him go without words. The narrator cherished this moment as possibly their last physical contact. Surprisingly, when he returned after 5 years, she was still alive and looked the same, as if time hadn't touched her. She greeted him at the station, still praying, and hugged her without saying much. Her happiest moments were still with her sparrows, whom she fed with playful scoldings. One evening, the grandmother's behavior changed. Instead of praying, she gathered neighborhood women, played an old worn out drum, and sang songs about warriors returning home to celebrate the narrator's return. This was unusual, as she had never skipped her prayers before. The family had to stop her to prevent her from overexerting herself. The next morning, she fell ill with a mild fever. The doctor said that it would pass, but she believed her end was near. She told the family she had wasted enough time by not praying the previous evening and refused to talk, focusing only on her prayers and rosary. Soon, her lips stopped moving and the rosary fell from her hands, and she had passed away peacefully. The family laid her body on the ground, covered with a red shroud, and prepared for her funeral. That evening, thousands of sparrows gathered silently in the veranda and room where she lay, creating a somber scene. The narrator's mother offered them bread crumbs as the grandmother used to, but the birds ignored the food. When the family carried the grandmother's body away for cremation, the sparrows flew off quietly, as if mourning her loss. The next morning, the sweeper cleared away the untouched breadcrumbs. The story beautifully captures the grandmother's simplicity, devotion, and the quiet but profound bond she shared with the narrator and the sparrows. Please like, share and comment on this video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much.